This is the Flabbergasted Podcast, where we just can't believe you haven't seen it.
Every episode, we discuss a movie that one of us has seen and the other hasn't.
And sometimes that neither of us have seen.
Follow us on Instagram
At Flabberpod.
and subscribe in your podcast app of choice. I'm your host, Jessica.
I'm your host, Rogie.
Let's get to it.
We are discussing the 1976 Sidney Lumet directed film Network. I wrote down drama/political drama for the genre. Did you have thoughts on that?
I think that makes sense.
IMDb says dark comedy, psychological drama, workplace drama.
Somebody said satire.
Yeah, I could see satire. A television network cynically exploits a deranged former anchor's ravings and revelations about mass media for its own profit, but finds that his message may be difficult to control. This is starring Peter Finch, Faye Dunaway, and William Holden.
And Robert Duvall.
Yeah. He's in a supporting role for sure. This is obviously 15 years before I was born, so it was not around for it or anything like that. I had never seen it. But I've always heard of Network as one of the classics of the 70s. And I knew I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen that clip before on anything?
No. The only reference I have to Network is there was a TV show called Studio 60. And it's like an SNL behind the scenes kind of.
Yeah.
And in the pilot episode, the executive producer of the show stops the cold open and he walks up in front of the news desk because they were doing a cold open with a news type sketch. And he's like, the show's not going to be very good. You should just turn off the channel. You should just turn it off now. And he goes on this whole rant and they reference Network because of what he's doing. Yeah. That's my only exposure to it.
I definitely thought it was going to be a move. I thought that was the climax. Was what it was going to be. That it was going towards this guy's growing disillusionment with how news is portrayed. And the 70s, a famously turbulent. When hasn't it been a turbulent time in American history? But lots of she says it, we're coming off Vietnam and we've got inflation and we've got, a job shortage right now and all of these things. And people just have this rage as mass media is coming up. And so I was like, it's a movie about that. And it, kind of is, but there's a lot of layers. It's a deep, rich text, I think. Did you have any favorite scenes?
Not particularly.
They don't stand out from one another.
No, they don't. It's all very disjointed, but not. I didn't have a good way to describe it. Something that did stick out to me is the beginning specifically, and occasionally in the middle and at the end, the voiceover, which I felt was very, very Twilight Zone-y.
Yes.
Just the cadence, the guy's voice even felt very Twilight Zone-y.
I think that helps emphasize these surreal nature, because there's moments of it where they're referencing real anchors, real events, actual things that could be happening, real companies, they're talking about. And, then once a guy's getting shot on live television by, coordinated by executives from his own network,
Yeah.
that you kind of need to remind us that this is satire. Because Rachel was like, is this based on a true story? I was like, no, this isn't based on.
No.
In terms
we would have heard about it, I think.
The cynical way that news corporations operate, sure.
You're how far from a true story could it really be?
It can be broadly based in reality, but it's not, specifically this is a thing that happened. Yeah. I think I noticed throughout there's different subplots, right? There's Howard Beale's losing his mind, and he seems to have it together during the day and then kind of loses it sometimes. And he goes farther and farther off the rails. But he's losing his mind after being fired for low ratings.
And
or he knows he's going to get fired for
his wife died, and there were a few other things that happened.
Yeah. And then we have kind of what's the word, castle, royal intrigue about which executive is going to back the right person the right way and is going to kind of get to the top of a sinking ship at this.
Right, which is like the political side.
So that there's the political intrigue part.
Mm-hmm.
And then we veer off from that to Faye Dunaway seducing kind of
this
William Holden's character.
Love affair?
Yeah, there's a whole affair situation. And so what I wrote that we see everyone turn against, everyone believes something and then gives up those beliefs for the sake of money, right? For money, power. Howard flips his whole thing at the end. Faye Dunaway goes from, we need to be centering real important news about, this that's happening overseas and that and this and that, and you've only got 2 minutes of time. Because at first you're supposed to think, oh, she's going to really come in and revolutionize the place, right? She has she has modern ideas about what news should be, and it shouldn't just be trying to calm people down and amuse them. But it turns out it's the exact opposite, is that she's very cynically manipulating and just using stuff. And so I think it's everyone but Max ends up turning for the sake of money, and he doesn't do it for money. He does it for love and sex and midlife crisis reasons instead. What do you think of the communists? I
didn't.
You didn't think about them?
No, I was really just trying to not drown with like these weird one-off storylines and how they're supposed to be a cohesive story, but
I think
you get too into, like, it was almost like there was too much that they weren't super relevant to anything else in the story. Right when they're like negotiating and Lorene, whose last name I'm forgetting.
Beale.
No, that's the guy.
Lorene, you're right. It's not Beale, but it's something like that. She's or something.
She's negotiating and they're like yelling at each other. The yelling was like so much in the whole movie. So much. They're yelling at each other and the guy like shoots the gun and then they go back to negotiating. And I'm just like, what are we even, like, we're emphasizing this storyline and the only important thing that brings to the story is the ratings piece that she wants to put on the air because they were filming themselves do terrorist activities live. So she wants to make that a show and then how they get rid of Howard at the end. Like, those are the only two important things, and they aren't not super important that we, like.
So I think this is one of those movies, I mean, they don't make movies. I mean, Tarantino kind of, and Paul Thomas Anderson kind of, but we're not, the average movie in the theater is just not like this story-wise, right?
Sure.
I mean, now it's like, they talk about the Netflixification of movies where exposition, let's repeat what's happening and what just happened over and over again because people aren't paying attention, right? Where we've got streamlined, simplified plot lines.
Yes. It's less that I wasn't paying attention and more that I didn't care. Like,
oh, interesting.
I wasn't invested in that piece of it.
So I don't think it asks you to invest in it because they only pop into it occasionally or bring up that that's happening. But it's something that's happening along with the way that Faye Dunaway is rising up the ranks and the control that she has. It's showing, okay, when we're following that train of thought, we're following her philosophy of how to program things, which is sensationalism. It's just about you don't act so high and mighty about the news. It's just to entertain people.
Yeah. So
the communist Lorene is extremely hardline. You're not going to have any say into politically what my show is about. Like, we can make money for the Communist Party type of stuff. And it shows how quickly that degrades. Yeah. Right? We're arguing about percentages and margins there in the house, and then she's all up in arms about you have me after this show and that show.
I want a new time slot.
From the first black and white time that when she's projected during an interview explaining her frustration with the American political system and stuff, you're like, oh, this is a true believer, right, in the Communist Party. And then she is just as down in the mud with everyone else by the time we get later on. And so it's that corrupting influence, I think. So I think it's more to be symbolic, not like, oh, wow. I mean, there is kind of a twist at the end where they shoot him, but they say they're going to do it and they do it. Like, it's not about plot points and like rising falling action so much as just showing us, okay, if we're going to let, once they fire the couple of standard like old school media guys from early on and we decide we're going to ride the crazy town that Howard has going on and we're going to start programming things in that direction, this is the natural like order of events, right? This is how just things are going to progress.
This is how it's going to snowball.
The twist for me is when Howard goes and sits down with the super president,
Mr. Jensen,
and Mr. Jensen, who's been enjoying...
He had his number, too, by the way.
He's enjoyed the spoils of what Howard's been doing.
Yeah.
He's taken advantage of, manipulated. He's made all kinds of money from that's the number one show on television. But then once he goes one step too far to criticizing a specific company or specific Saudi money investiture or whatever, now it's, I'm coming down on you and we're going to flip the whole thing around, right? I mean, how many power structures are there that enjoy, what's what I'm looking for? Not manipulating, exploiting, right? Enjoy exploiting people groups or artists or whatever, and then get their hooks into you and force you to change the narrative, and then and that was one of my questions is then the ratings drop because he's like, you're going to do this message and no one likes that message. It's boring and crappy.
And he's still okay with it even though it's not making him money.
So why?
Well, I think that's the power thing. I'm okay with it because I've influenced you to change your message. And now I can sit back and revel in my ability to manipulate, influence, and exploit.
It was just all about the money. I mean, he's like, the world isn't about this. It's not about that. It's just about money. Everything is about money.
Yeah.
And it's corporations. There aren't countries. There aren't people. There's just corporations.
There's just corporations.
Which is like, this is 50 years ago.
And
do you feel like that's any less true?
No, it's not less true.
Not at all.
Nope. And you're still having this argument about, I mean, news making ratings. I'm not saying that right. I'm not saying that the way I want to say it. About how does our news boost our ratings?
We're talking, it's about spin and bias and just are we presenting the news straightforwardly? But I mean, we do live in a very different context where they're talking about 60 million people are watching me. It's like, well, I mean, 6 million people watch the Super Bowl and that's about it. Like that's just not a day-to-day thing anymore because of the way TV and streaming work and things like that.
Well, and the way social media works now.
Yeah, news has to come out.
Like, even if you don't call it news and you just call it media, like people are still all about the ratings and not necessarily the content.
It's about and it's because it's about clicks, right? It's about as an influencer, how many views am I getting? I mean, YouTube is really the equivalent is getting X number of views depending on what kind of content you're putting out there and how you present yourself.
Just a different currency of ratings.
Yes. Yeah. But absolutely. Yeah. What ratings means has changed. We just use a different word, but you plug that in for ratings and now it all clicks again for sure. I think that Faye Dunaway is the most interesting character to me. Because, I mean, Howard Beale is clearly going crazy from the beginning.
Yes.
And then, I mean, he's giving these really cool speeches, and he wins the Oscar for Best Actor this year. But Faye Dunaway, at least maybe I naively thought that she was the outsider that's going to come in and change news media and, and show these good old boys that they've been doing it wrong. And so I was surprised by her becoming the most just basic numbers, craven media mogul person. But then also getting her hooks into Max, or what the deal with that was. She kept saying, I had a schoolgirl crush on you. Did she ever seem to be in love with him?
No, but that's because, right, he even says that as much as she's capable. Like, she's not really thinking about it in that way. But I didn't take her as the person that was going to come in and revolutionize everything. From the very beginning, it felt like she was talking about what audiences wanted to see. And it took me a minute to realize that she was, whatever her job title was not over the news, right? She's not the news director. She's over regular programming. Yeah. So it took me a minute to realize that. But from the beginning, she was talking about what audiences wanted to see, not about what they should see.
But I still thought that there was levels of sincerity there. It's because like audiences are sick and tired of you talking about missing puppies. They want to know what's going on in the real world. And so I was naively assuming that was what she meant. Was it's like our audiences are smarter than this, and they do care about the big issues and stuff. But then she starts hitting on the like sensational parts of it, because at first I'm like, oh, she wants to platform these communists like who have stuff to say and are going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I don't care one way or the other about your politics. I just care that it's interesting and people love to watch it or hate to watch it, but they're going to watch it either way.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, we're platforming people, who frankly I probably agree with, like the original, like sincere communist type people. But it wasn't just, here's a blank check to platform them. It's sign all of our documents and then we're going to drag you down to our level. And now we're just sort of playing at being political activists.
Yeah.
We have to assume. I mean, they stopped showing us footage of anything like that.
The system to come out with what we still wanted to come out with.
Yeah, at least like ratings wise.
Yeah.
I guess, did you grow up watching the news? Like 7 o'clock, 10 o'clock news or anything like that?
No, my first big, like really actually paying attention to the news. I mean, I'm sure I've watched it a few other times. Like, I'm sure we watched the car scene or the car chase with the OJ trial. Okay. But my first really big thing was, we did the thing in school, like the Channel 1 news for like 20 minutes in homeroom.
Okay.
Like we did that through middle school. So that was as newsy as that gets. And then when 9/11 happened, the news was like we were watching the news basically.
Yeah, every channel
all day, every day. Yeah. And then after that, it just sort of faded out again.
So it wasn't like when I grew up, what we watched on TV was we watched Jeopardy every night, and Wheel of Fortune leaned into Jeopardy sometimes, but it was a lot of Jeopardy and then Pacers games. It was like that was what we put on. And besides that, it's like we're watching cartoons, we're watching reruns of old sitcoms. But there were so many families in the 70s and 80s where like everyone sat down together and watched the 7 o'clock news, right? And like maybe they're eating their TV dinner while they're doing it or whatever, but it used to just be what you did.
Yeah.
And I have a tough time a little bit connecting to that concept and like getting my news from that kind of source. I mean, I did read the newspaper for a long time and not anymore. But that was where I was more like trusting getting information and stuff like that, because it was just never, not that I mistrusted mainstream media or anything, or like this
you were like
station's not going to give me whatever.
You were young enough not to be like, oh, this is going to be informational that I want to know right now.
Yeah, for sure. But when I was in 5th grade, we had a program in my class called Newscast. So every week you'd either be on the Tuesday, the Wednesday, or the Thursday team, and you would have a role. So like a couple times I was the anchor, or I was the sports person, or there was like state and local, and there was weather, and then there was like editorial or other, or just like you can do whatever you want. And so I was on the internet. I mean, I was going to the Chicago Sun-Times and looking at the headlines and
to find an article.
Yeah, you're trying
to
pull things and you're summarizing them. So I was reading a lot of news in 2003 specifically, but it never even occurred to me to sit down and watch the nightly news to get my information for that.
Yeah, we didn't. We had, we watched a lot of sports, like baseball, some of the basketball. I don't know. We just never really watched the news.
Yeah.
But my dad worked at a factory, so I'm sure that he read his newspaper or whatever on his break there, and they talked about it then, and it just wasn't what he brought home. Yeah. But we also never really sat down and did dinner. Like, we didn't do that a lot together.
Oh, wow.
Like, I just don't remember, like, setting the table a lot as a kid.
Yeah, we did every night. And we were cloth napkins, tablecloth most of the time, or placemats, like lighting candles. But not that we were talking, no one was going, oh, did you see what Bush did? Like,
but you were still sitting down together.
But we were sitting down together, yeah.
Yeah, we were just, I don't know. And I could just not be remembering that because my brain's full of other things, but I don't think that we did that a lot.
I remember going to a friend's house and getting handed paper towel for napkins. And I was like, what the frick is this? This is something people can do at dinner?
People don't do that.
I was a little fancy boy. Not because I was richer than them, but that was just, I don't know, my parents were older and that was kind of like what their parents had done. And that was just generationally the thing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm not dogging on people sitting down for dinner together, just to be clear. Like, you do whatever works for your family. Yeah. Okay, so that's the news piece. I did like how in the beginning you could see that they were putting together the news cast of the show. They were talking about how long we were spending on this and what order this is going in. And I think that
they came off as sincere. Like, those guys were trying to put the news out there.
Yeah. And then at the beginning, like, the whole control room is just yakking and nobody catches him say it.
Yeah, Rachel was really focused in on the fact that the woman in there caught it first, and she kept saying it and no one listened to her. And then a guy came in and was like, "Did you hear what he just said?" And they listened to him. And I was like, "I hear you." And that does happen. I don't think that's what this movie's about necessarily is always have to listen to women. I don't think that's the message of this particular movie. But
I don't think it's that you always have to listen to women. I think that it's like the woman was paying attention is what she was trying to say.
Yeah. I think she likes to, she does like to point that out in movies, which is funny.
Because then unconsciously they wrote that in there because it happens.
I think it's very interesting from the beginning that there was very few people, if anyone, had sympathy for Howard at the beginning. It was like, oh wow, like look at what he's going through, or like he's clearly having some kind of breakdown.
Yeah.
Max did. He takes him to his house. Everyone else is, this is an embarrassment for us, or then how can we take advantage of this? How can we manipulate
right
the situation?
Into how do we monetize this? How do we make it good for us?
And he's the most front-facing person of that. I mean, if he's the nightly news anchor of a nationally syndicated whatever, and if they don't care about him as a person, it's like people who defend billionaires and want to be like, oh, well, like this is a really hard job, or like are loyal to one multinational company over the other. Like they don't care about you. I promise they don't care about you. Even if you're an employee there, they don't care about you.
Yeah.
Don't let them think that they do.
I was surprised that he faints in Max's office and he's like, oh, he just fainted. Let's get him home. Like,
yeah, no one calls the hospital.
Heart attack, stroke, like none of these like kind of life-altering things. You're not considering any of those?
Yeah.
That really, and then he ends up fainting like after multiple broadcasts too.
You know what this reminded me of? Have you watched Black Mirror?
No, I haven't.
You haven't watched Black Mirror?
No.
Okay. Oh, I don't want to spoil it, I guess. But the very, very first episode of Black Mirror.
Okay.
I think the more I was watching this, it's not like the whole thing is a direct homage to Network or anything, but I do think big chunks of what they're trying to get at is taken from, or like trying to modernize like an updated message of what's happening here. In a very futuristic, because like at the very end, or not the very end, but when President Jensen or whatever his name is talking about, there aren't humans anymore. These are just like humanoid people, and we want to put you in a state of not anxious, constantly entertained, never knowing the truth, not thinking too much about like what's behind the curtain type of thing. And there is a lot of super modern, cynical, like Black Mirror type of stuff that gets into that, right? Like how much do people just want things to be easy and just simple and handed to them, but not even easy so much as calming, right? I mean, there's people who don't like, who will watch the news, but only if it's saying nice, good things.
Yeah.
Right. And that's just not everything that happens is nice, good things.
Right. Well, and that's where she was coming in with that's not, hold on a second, because I might be mixing up things.
We're bouncing back and forth. Timeline stuff is always a little.
Doesn't she say that in this? Things don't always end, like with a.
Well, that's kind of when they're talking about when Max and Diana keep referencing their affair relationship in the context of a 30-minute like television show. Like, oh, this is the classic plot, or your script is that I'm going to do this, or I think there's one script where I kill myself, or like, and then I'll go back to the wife, and because the viewer would never accept a complete rejection of the modern American family type of thing.
Yeah, I think Howard maybe says it at the end when he's like when he's talking about television doesn't tell you the truth, and you know that in you just look at your watch in a half an hour or whatever. Towards the end, the good guy's gonna win. I think that's what I was remembering.
Yes, yeah, he does. Yeah, he definitely says that. We're just going to tell you whatever you want to hear so that you can be on here. He keeps calling it the tube.
The tube, yeah.
So 70s.
Yeah.
Did you notice everyone in suits at the restaurant? When they go to that kind of smoky, like there's a lot of music going on. People are standing up and talking. It's not like a super fancy restaurant where they go when they start their affair. But everyone's wearing suits and long formal dresses and stuff.
Like fancy-ish clothes.
Yeah. That's just probably a certain part of Manhattan.
The one woman was wearing a pantsuit. She walks into the meeting, the first meeting with Faye's character, and she was wearing like pants. And I was like, nice, I like that. Yeah.
The real girl boss movie.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed Network. Oh, I wanted to. So Faye Dunaway wins Best Actress at the Oscars, and Peter Finch wins Best Actor posthumously. He died within 6 months of filming this.
And he was
Howard Beale.
Howard Beale. Okay.
The Max was William Holden was also nominated for Best Actor. 2 actors from the same movie, both nominated for Best Actor, not supporting. Ned Beatty, who plays Jensen, who's in 1.5 scenes, is nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
I don't know about that one. I mean, his whole speech thing with Beale was really good.
It was strong.
Like he closes the blinds, he changes his voice when he's being, mysterious, and then am I getting through to you? Comes back down to like a normal conversational. Yeah, he was good, but I don't know about Best Supporting Actor.
I know.
That's high.
And the winner for Best Actress is Max's wife.
She was good.
In her literally one scene.
Yeah.
And she was good. I told Rachel it's kind of like a stage actress sort of thing where she's giving this monologue and she's clearly upset, but she's hitting several different emotions. And I was like, this is great. It's like, I assume she's going to come back again. Nope. It is that one scene.
Yeah. And she was good.
Interesting.
I will say, like, it kept my attention for sure. It was captivating, but I also, like, it was interesting. I don't have a good word to describe it.
You kind of have to be in a mood to be thought-provoked.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a simple message, necessarily, that they're trying to get at. And the message is the whole point.
Right.
What it's about, from my themes are all like, oh, am I smart enough to craft this sentence? Theme 1, the detrimental impact of television and mass media on modern Western society.
Yes, agree.
I also have the craven pursuit of success / exploitation of sincerity.
Yeah.
Kind of. And then cynicism within capitalism. We got some isms going on in my themes. I mean, it's very onion layery stuff. Because like earlier you were saying something like, it's sort of jumping around. I don't care about these plot lines. And I don't think, maybe you see it differently. I don't think that they're trying to get you to care or get you to invest an emotional level on what's happening with the Black West Coast communists necessarily, so much as we're just spraying another thing at you that is showing what's happening to everyone.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because there's not a lot of emotional growth. It's only Max's character that has any kind of emotional arc where he's changing his mind and seeing the world differently, really.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just not the kind of movie it is.
So what I was thinking of when I watched this movie is another TV show called The Newsroom. It was on HBO, and you'll have to go check it out if you want. I think it's great. I've rewatched it multiple times, but there's this.
Sorkin,
it is about it is Sorkin, who I generally like, and there's this episode where they're talking about how to do the news, and they're sort of talking about like, is this? What does she say? Is this the best presentation of the story? Like, are we presenting it with all the facts? Do we have, experts, actual experts that can talk about this? Are these the people that should be telling this story? And I think that that's like, in this movie, they go over and over about what they're putting on the news and how they're saying it. And it's just like, there's the ideology in me, the idealist, if you will, thinks that there's a responsibility when you have a platform to the 60 million audience members or whatnot, that you need to be responsible in that and tell the best possible, all sides of the story that you can. You need to have people that actually know what they're talking about. You need to vet that and everything. And we've gotten away from that. We got away from it when this movie came out, obviously. We haven't really gotten better at it, I don't think, as a society.
Yeah,
and it's
we
just
like to think that, this corporation that I like, they're the ones that are doing it right.
Yeah,
and
they're
maybe
doing it right.
You have to assume there are sincere people in there that do want to do it.
But then it's that corruption that happens because the ratings aren't what they need to be, or we're not making money the way we need to make money, or you're just not likable. The audience doesn't like you.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to do with ratings too, but it's also like a personality thing.
Yeah, it's that undefinable quality when they're trying to find a different version of Beale, a different missionary.
What about that hot new guy that was supposed to compete with ours?
She's like, where's your other? He like, that's
the guy. Yeah.
Do you notice how it seems to get? I mean, pretty quickly you get 3 layers up in the hierarchy from the people staffing the newsroom, and they're only talking about ratings and how like profit loss margins.
Yeah.
Right. That's quickly what everyone is talking about. And the farther up you go, it gets really narrow-minded to that, or like narrowly focused on just the profits and loss, until you get all the way to Jensen, who has some sort of Saudi interest. Like he's kind of above even like this whole company is just one pawn in the chess game of whatever multinational thing that I'm doing. And I wonder if that's intentional, right? To kind of show the pyramid of the people on bottom doing the work. The faces that you see might be the ones who are most sincere, and the cameramen are trying to do a good job being a cameraman. The people at the desk who are blocking out what we're going to talk about, or the projectionist, the first guy that brings the film of the communist woman in an interview. He's like, yeah, let's get you on the phone with this guy, and like, I want these kinds of stories out there. And the farther up, every layer of management up, more cynical, more profit driven, more only think. I mean, it never comes up. What's the quality of news that we're putting out there, or like what's important about the news, like that people need to know.
So it sort of comes up with was the Roddy character, Mr. Roddy, who dies of the heart attack.
Yeah.
So it sort of comes up with him, and then I'm like, is the story that if you don't have anybody fighting this and everybody that's able to fight it gives up, this is what you get?
Yeah, I think so.
That's what you get if you give up fighting for what you believe in.
And you can only fight. I mean, as a human being, you can only fight for those ideals that you believe in if you have the means to do so.
Right.
I mean, at a certain point, you can't just not have jobs, and still be able to live. Unfortunately, in this country, you can't. You only have so much influence. I mean, strikes and unions and things like that have only gone down in the United States over the last 50 years. That kind of collectivized bargaining power. People just don't individually have that kind of power. And then when Beale gets it, because of a fluke, basically, I mean, they go to shut him off, and he works it. He works his way back in because of a relationship, and he's going to do the whole same thing again and just kind of MF everybody that's on the stage or whatever. Then they're able to take advantage of that. It's going to so quickly get monopolized and commoditized.
Well, because honestly, you're thinking, I mean, I was thinking, right, he's getting fired, Max is getting fired, and then somebody comes up to the office and says they want to put Howard back on, and they're like, do you walk away? Do you get back on? I'm like, hey, if they're going to pay him again, like, why not? Like, literally, I'm watching, I'm like, they're going to pay him.
That's basically what
he says. Keep your job.
That doesn't sound bad.
Yeah.
But like, how do you manufacture sincerity if people are tuning in to see this guy that really doesn't care anymore because it is his last day? That really is the vibe he's giving off those first 2 times. But then when someone's like, hey, actually that I like that vibe. Can you keep that going and keep working here? How can you possibly keep that up in a way that isn't just you can see through that mask so quickly? So that's when we're throwing the tarot card reading and like all the different bits of the news in there instead. Yeah, it's a very cynical movie.
And then at the end,
speaks to me.
It ends with him being killed on TV, which is what he opened up with.
Said he wanted to do.
I'm going to commit suicide on the
And they're joking around. And Max is like, oh, perfect. We'll do assassination of the week. And then we'll get, this terrorist of the week or whatever. Sarcastically. Because that's not how it's done. And that's not the point of a newsroom.
Right.
And so it's important to get information about the happenings of the world out to people. And once you start tying the motivations to even put that on the air to ratings and profit, then you are already divorced from the concept of what the point of this is.
Yeah.
Because we don't really at any point see any real news being broadcast. And that's the point.
I really think you would like the newsroom because it is like this. That's one of the biggest messages on it. But yeah. I still don't quite follow this whole love affair because they completely disagree with each other from a fundamental level. Max and Diana, that's her name.
Diana, yeah.
And then they just sort of like connect multiple times. I mean, like they talk to each other without these differing views, and then they end up moving in together. Like, I just did not.
I mean, I think it's easy from his perspective to understand this is a young, attractive woman compared to him that is willing to have sex with him, so he's going to do it.
He's like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, that's what guys do, especially in movies. I don't understand it really from her perspective. It's something about his connection to Howard, but, maybe we are led to believe that she did at one time believe in the ideals that he espouses, like when she was at school, when she went to University of Missouri, which does historically have a really good journalism program.
Maybe it's because he doesn't actually need anything from her.
Maybe.
And she's just like, you're easy, like you're low maintenance.
Yeah, well, and she keeps talking about how
you're competent.
Every guy she's ever been with says that she's not very good in bed.
Too masculine.
And she's weird. She's like talking about ratings the whole time.
Yeah, I really thought he was going to be like, honey, shh.
She's 30 years younger than him. What's he going to say? He doesn't, he's like.
How old do we think he is in this movie?
So Peter Finch, who plays Howard Beale, was 60.
Okay.
When filming that. And he looks like today a 75-year-old at least. Right? He does not look like he's 60.
I thought he looked younger than Max.
Agreed. Max, played by William Holden, his picture on IMDb is in black and white. He was born in 1918, so he would have been less than 60 when this came out. He would have been 57 while this was being 58 probably while this was being filmed.
I just think he looks. I still think he looks like, I don't know, 58 maybe. But they kept sort of calling him middle-aged.
He did. Because the psychic said she was going to have an emotional something with a middle-aged man. And,
yeah.
I don't know what she was getting out of it exactly.
The one thing I really did like, and I won't be able to think of any examples because I didn't write them down, was the dialogue was smart. As in, they were using different vocabulary words that are not in everyday vocabulary words. And you can pick them up if you know them, you can look them up, or you can also pick it up from context clues. But I liked that and I appreciated it. I was trying to explain, like, it's smart, not necessarily witty smart, but like just they were not using,
slang.
Yeah, they were using.
Do you mean
a broadened vocabulary, which I appreciated?
Like philosophical, like just like big words about philosophy, or are you talking about like jargon within the newscast industry?
No,
because I think both are true. But
I was talking about like
as people,
everyday language and the words they're using to describe situations and things that is different than what I would understand news jargon to be.
Yeah, I agree.
Which with some of the news jargon, I'm like, okay, you're talking about ratings, and I understand that that's big and that's like good rating versus a bad rating. But to be realistic, I don't actually understand the point
Sometimes
system
it's
here.
like market share and ratings, and there's like numbers it's like this in the 20s and this in the 40s, and that's good.
Like,
and I was like,
I'm like, okay, that's good. I'll take your word for it because I don't know like what the scale is.
It is crazy though how they'll go, well, from this 1 week to the next, it goes down 1 point, and now suddenly everyone's head's on the chopping block. I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
That is not a patient industry.
No.
So we've noticed the last few things we've watched on our projector, like it's pretty dark. So I turned up.
Oh, I hate that.
I know.
It was so dark.
When you were watching it was pretty dark? Okay.
Yes.
So I turned up the brightness, and there were times when you could not, someone's face was lit like angelically almost, so brightly that I couldn't see what was on their face.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of when
the
they're
Howard
up on this
in the conference room.
In the conference room,
and
yes.
when he's sleeping that one time.
And also when they're having their big gala for, we've got the #1 show, and and I'm the best, and next year we're going to be the #1 network. Whenever it was Robert Duvall introducing her, his face was just like completely whited out. Did that stuff happen to you? So that's probably just
I think it's because you adjusted the brightness up. Yeah. But the scenes they were so dark, and I will say that is something that just makes me like, I don't like to watch that because I can't see what's happening.
Yeah. I mean, it's made for a movie theater sort of thing. We don't have that opportunity. Anything else you want to talk about with network?
I don't think so.
Would you?
We didn't really talk about Robert Duvall, but I always like him.
He was just a cog in the machine to me.
On this movie for sure. And honestly, it surprised me to see him in there because I didn't actually look at who was in the movie. I was like, this is our movie. Let's go. So that surprised me, but it was fun. So that's it. Robert Duvall was fun. Would I watch it again? Probably not, because I did not overly enjoy like the darkness, not the darkness of the message, if you will, but just the darkness of the movie.
The way it was shot, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't like that, but it was good.
So the director Sidney Lumet is considered one of the like absolute guys of like pre-Spielberg. Now it's Spielberg and Scorsese is kind of the next generation, and Kubrick. But before that, it's like
it was him.
Yeah, Lumet and Kurosawa and some of those guys. I think he's French. He's like the French Connection and some other French language stuff that I have not seen. So yeah, you can tell that the way that they lit stuff, but I think it seemed like more of it was filmed almost on location. I mean, some of the offices when they're going through multiple rooms and stuff, like it could have been a newsroom or at least an old newsroom or something. Yeah. So lighting's going to be different. It's not going to be a stage, a set with like lighting from all these angles and stuff. So sometimes you just have to live with it. But
practically, it's just the way it is.
I think it does help give the movie a little bit more of a like a grounded, gritty, darker tone to some extent. But it does make it kind of harder to see. Sometimes Rachel was like you said, there's crosstalk and there's yelling. And she's like, what did he say? What was it? It's like, you're just meant to be getting the vibe of
whatever.
Are we stressed? Are we not? Are things good or bad? More than there's a certain MacGuffin. Like we have like an intricate plot that, this thing that was said is going to play a huge role, really.
Yeah. I was surprised when you're talking about the crosstalk. I was kind of surprised that Diana let Lorene's character, she's literally on the phone, and Lorene's character is standing like 3 feet behind her, just yelling about all this stuff.
She's got her finger in her other ear.
And I was really surprised with the way that she lit into them in the first scene that she's in. And she was like, the next time I send out something about an audience, you better read it or I'm going to fire all of you.
Yeah.
I was really surprised that she just let her yell like that while she was trying to be on the phone, honestly.
Well, she had changed. I mean, that was her trying to establish, this is who I am. This is what my practice is and the kinds of the direction I want to take the studio and stuff like that. And then by later on, it's like, well, I've already got a working relationship with her. I got to kind of let her say her piece. Like she's less idealistic about it by then. Because she's constantly so in the weeds with the ratings and the numbers and all the margins and stuff. So,
would you watch it again?
I think so. I like to think, I don't know. I mean, I like to think of myself as a movie snob or like smart movie watcher or whatever. And so I want to say that I don't know that I loved it, but I liked it. And I think if someone had a lot of strong thoughts about it, I would be interested in listening to them, and then would be open to like going back and rewatching with that in mind type of thing. I like when I like upper middle age leading men, and not everything is about, just young, beautiful movie stars, like kind of things. Where, I mean, you're seeing stuff on people's faces, and honestly, I mean, there's parts of it that I would like to show my, some high school students or something. Like, this is that movies can make you think about things and can bring up issues and like make you sit with them for a while. And some of these issues, it would be great if more people were thinking about on a daily basis.
For sure.
I think the message of it is strong. You'd have to really make sure. I'm sure there's like a edited for TV version or something which takes out some of the cursing and stuff.
The swearing, there was
quite a bit.
Just so much of it in a very interesting way, I think.
A way that I've never worked in a professional environment where that kind of thing is
was
just
acceptable.
Like boom, boom, boom. Yeah. I mean, I've always been at DCS or at, a teaching. Like, it's just different. So I think I would. And I want to get into watching some of those more old classic directors and get an idea about what made them the top of their craft at the time, and what is it that when people talk about, their influence on Spielberg or whoever, like, I'd probably like to do that. But it's not going to be next week or anything.
Yeah, you're not putting it in tomorrow.
Folks, if any of you are huge fans of the work of Sidney Lumet or have really strong thoughts about the concept of a free press or the importance of newscasts in modern society, cynicism within capitalism, I think was one of my themes. We'd love to hear about them. In the show notes, we've got links to our link tree where you can find us on various social media platforms, including Instagram and YouTube. And we have a voicemail that you can talk to us and let us know what you thought. And if maybe you have a better rationale for why Faye Dunaway wanted to have a brief but torrid affair with a man in his late 50s.
It was like 6 months. Is that brief?
No, depends how you look at it. Until next time, I've been Rogie.
I'm Jessica.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.